Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir,
Okay,
you're audible.
okay. So we are having a small plan today, like that PQ questions of the last week, like week 12. Somebody can confirm that YouTube link is working, the streaming. Can anyone confirm?
Yeah, checking, sir.
Okay. Okay, Apnan is saying it's okay. Okay, just at the end of the session, please remind me that I'll show that documentation once again today, right? Okay, so let us go for the PQ questions, right? So mostly like Anand sir has covered most of the thing theoretically, and also he has done the programming. Just we'll check out with the questions. Okay, so questions are visible, I think, right? Questions are visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. So see, whenever the questions will appear, like it may happen that to reduce the length of the code, we may give some portion as a comment, like given in this question, or sometime if it is a small code, we may give the entire code itself, right? So if you look at over here, say what we are using. So we are using a JFrame, right? We are having text field. There are two text field. We are having two buttons. We are having two labels. So this is the arrangement, and we are having three panels. Okay, so if you look at the container, a JFrame can contain panels, and inside the panels you can have the text box, text field, buttons, levels, etc. All these kind of components. So how I'm arranging? So I first create my form, right? This form will have a particular name or a caption. So this is the caption which will appear in the form. This is the size of the form, right? Then I put a label. So label say height in inch, right? There is a text box where I should enter the height, which has to be given in inch. Then there is output level, right? So where I'll show the text as output, and there is a text box where the output has to appear. So there are two common buttons. So there are two buttons actually. So I'm basically trying to convert the inch into centimeter or into feet. So if I click on the first button, so it will be converting the inches to the centimeter. And if I click on the second button, it basically goes it, make it into convert it into a feet, right? So this part I'm coming little later. This is I'm adding the accent listener. So both are connected with the same object, like this current class object. So that's why I bind this. Now this is a textual presentation. What I'm doing next, I'm having three panels: input, output, and button panel. So what I'm doing, um, I'm putting the input panel to the north. So I'll have a panel at the north, means over here, right? There is a output panel which will be at the center, and there will be a button panel. It's not bottom, it should be a south, right? This particular text is the south. So I'll have it over south, right? So there are three panels. One will be at center, one will be north, another is in south. Okay, then what I do, the input level and the input text field, I put it over here. So this is my input label, and there is a text field over here. What I do, I add the level output and output text box in the output panel. So I'll have a label again, and there is a text box over here. I'm going to put my buttons, that centimeter button and the particular feet button, down over here. So there will be two buttons. One is for the centimeter, and another is for feet, right? So this is something like interface will get. So the thing is like I'll enter some value over here which is in inches. So if I click on centimeter, it will be converted into centimeter. If I click on inch, it will be in inch. So that this action could be converted into a this click could be converted into an action. I'm binding it with a action command. Sorry, I'm basically adding it to a action listener. So in the action listener, what I should do, that is the question. So the way I want to do, see, there could be two way I can do it. One is using this get source. Another way you can do it using a get action command. So get action command could be used whenever you are using this particular set action command. So you want with this particular button, you will bind a string, that's a command string, which is CM. And with this particular button, you'll bind another string, that's a fit. Right, that's these are called as action command. So if you are clicking on the first button, that CM button, what will happen? Basically in the event, so this is the event. If I say get action command, I basically get the particular string inside the S. So I match the string. If the string is equal to ft, so this is how I do conversion. If the string is CM, this is how I do the conversion. The alternative way, what I can do, each button having a name, object name. So there is a CM button and there is a ft button. So that is another way I can do. Using get source is the event name. I can find out actually which particular button has fired that particular event, right? So this is the button object. Now I want to check this button is a fit button or this button is a CM button. And accordingly, I do conversion, right? So this is the overall kind of thing. So I'm having the program. I'll share it in some other way to you so that you can also run this program and check it out. And the particular textual presentation, I have written the code for it. So this is the code for it, like whatever the panel I had. So this particular panel, input panel, I have added on the north. Then there is a panel which is added on the center. There is a panel which is added on the south. So this is the entire designing part, right? Along with that, I'm putting my action listener. So this portion is not necessary if you are just looking for get source, like you want to find out which button has fired your exception, fired your event. But if you want to do it using this action command, like you want to find out which string is associated with the button, then you have to use it. But it's either or, like it's not like you have to use both together. Either you use this or that, right? So how I do it? So I put just one example over here. This is through the get action command. So I find out which string is associated with my event. So if the string is empty, so this is my conversion. If it is associated with CM, this is my conversion. So let me run this. So if I run this, so this is something I'll get. So if I go for a -40, so this is I get, and this is converting into FT. So if I take 100 over here, so this is how it is converting, right? So this is what is happening. But what I say again, this is not mandatory. You need to always use this. You can go for an alternative approach, like instead of doing this over here, using a get command. Suppose you're not using the set command, you can simply do what? You can take a button, right? Sorry, it's a J button, right? Whenever you're on a swing, it's basically a J button. So you can have a J button. I say it's a BTN, and you say e dot get source, right? So you want to find out which button has fired that particular event. So I cast it. Basically it returns an object kind of thing. So okay, I cast it. Now I find out which button it is. So I say if the button, what I'm getting, so what are my buttons? I'm having two buttons over here. So this is CM button, and it could be, or it could be a FT button. So if it is a CM button, I have to do something. If it is a FT button, I have to do something. So I say if the button is equal to my FT button, I'll do this. and if button is equal to this CM button, I need to do this. So this is an alternative way of coding this, right? But this is a kind of program, this kind of event driven kind of programming you can expect for your in term, right? So there will be something related with this action listener and action performed, which will be a event driven kind of programming, which will come for your paper, right? So this is the thing. So let us go back once again uh, to. So is it somewhat clear? Because you need to run the code, otherwise ultimately you won't understand, because you need to run it, you need to do few changes and to find out like how it is happening. But you got something, no, like some concept like how it works. Because last you have gone for a detail like how actually the things happen step by step. So I'm not going in a step by step way. I'm just giving a details like how the program will work in this. So is it somewhat okay? Hello, am I audible?
Sir, you are audible.
Okay, okay. So I'm not getting any response like is it okay, or do you want me to do something like I'm not sure like. Okay, so if there is no response, I assume like it is understandable. Okay, let me go for the next question then. Okay. Okay, see like this one, uh, what we deal with. So this basically works with the Windows listener, right? So this is not covered in details inside the actual lecture video, right? So this is for your some kind of additional knowledge. So it's there in a some way, but the complete thing, it's basically for your extra knowledge. Like you can run the program, you can find out how this particular events will work, right? So it is like whenever you open a JFrame, basically you're opening a window, right? So whenever you open a window, there are different events will be fired, right? At different moment. So what are the particular events will be fired and how they can be handled? So basically there are particular event handler, right? So what are those things? There is something called as a window opened. It's like it will inform you, it will be called whenever you're opening the particular JFrame. This is like whenever you're clicking on the close button to close your window. This is actually your window got closed, right? Then you're having more thing like you're having window iconified. Like if you're clicking on the minimize button to minimize your particular window, then de-iconified, like whenever again you re-click on the maximize button to reopen it, right? So once you open your window, it becomes activated, right? So it's activated, and there is again something called as a deactivated. So how it's basically the events will be fired in a sequence. So first time when your form become visible, first time your form become visible, like your JFrame becomes visible. So that moment it fires the open and activate your particular form. So first time whenever the form gets visible, it's basically a call for the window open, and at the same time it's a Windows activated, right? Then whenever you are clicking on minimize, whenever you're clicking on minimize, it's basically um, called for this Windows iconified, and the moment it is got minimized, it's automatically becomes deactivated. The particular window becomes deactivated. Then again you click on the maximize button, it will reopen. So it will reopen means it will become de-iconified, and it also becomes activated, right? And if you click on the close button, that's the cross on the right top, right? If you click on that, it first fire the closing, then basically say closed, right? First fire the closing, then say it's closed. So that is the way it's basically the things will be fired. But you can understand like whenever you're clicking on the close, the closing is happening and it is closed. So that moment onwards, you cannot see the output because your output supposed to come on the windows, right? That particular JFrame. But if you're clicking on the close means it's going to be the entire the window is going to be closed, right? So whatever you write on the form or on the JFrame, it won't be visible to you, right? So that is how your events will appear. So I want to give you a just demo, like other things you want to check out, and you can find out like how what will be correct and what will be wrong. So I have the program with me, so I want to give a demo like actually how it will work. Okay, so this is my program. So I'm having a class which is inheriting a JFrame, and it is implementing the Windows listener. See, there is a difference between the last program and this program. In this program, I haven't inherited the or extended the JFrame. So that's why I have created separately the JFrame, right? I have created the frame separately over here, right? And I make this frame visible. But here in the second example, since my class itself, extend the JFrame, my class also becomes a JFrame, right? So that's why inside the constructor of my class, whatever the configuration we do, that's applicable to JFrame only, because my class itself becomes a JFrame because it is extending the JFrame class. So that's why you don't have to create a JFrame additionally over here. You can just use your class as a JFrame class, right? So this is what we are doing. So in this program, what we are having a J label, right? So just give me a minute. Okay, so we are having a label, and for adding this thing to my form, I'm having a content pane, right? Which is basically a container of the form inside which I can add this particular component like label, then button, etc., etc. Now with the form, I add Windows listener. So action listener, whenever I do something on my particular component which is added to my JFrame, like if I'm clicking on a button, if I'm clicking or selecting a checkbox, I'm selecting a radio button. So if I deal anything with do anything with my particular components which are added to a form, we basically call for this action listener. We add action listener. But whenever we basically deals with the window, that's your JFrame itself, then we would go for this add Windows listener. So I add this Windows listener, and where I have written the particular actions in the current class itself. So I say this. I get the current content pane, which is the container to which I should add my things. So I add a label. I add a label. Now, what are the things I am having? Once the window open, it fired a window open event. So against that, this window opened, this particular function will be called, which will basically append, it creates a string basically where inside which this window opened message will be written. It's basically append, like it will concatenate with the existing thing. So which will be visible on your label, right? Then what will happen? If the windows open, it also gets activated. So along with the string, this particular string also will be added. It will say it is opened and activated also. Next thing, if I click on minimize, it will call for this Windows iconified. So this new message again will be concatenated with my string that it is Windows iconified, means it is basically minimized, right? So once it is minimized, it automatically gets deactivated. So then this will be called. So it will print you a message. Now again, if you are maximizing it once again, so it will call for a de-iconified. It will call for a de-iconified, and it will get again activated. Then if you click on close, close is this one, right? Close is this one. This is the iconified, right? If you click on close, so first it will say window closing. And the moment it actually get closed, it fires window closed, right? So closing means if you're clicking but yet not closed. So actually whenever it's closed, it fires a window closed. So this is the thing, and I want to show you how the things will happen. So let me run this. So as soon as I'll run this, it says window got activated and it also opened, right? If I do minimize it, it's basically iconified. Now as it is minimized, I cannot see the message, but since I am appending my message, once I open, I can see it, right? So after Windows got activated, then it is got opened, then it is iconified, right? Then what happening? It is got deactivated. But next time again, if I have clicked on de-iconified, again it is getting de-iconified and it's again getting in a activated state. Now, as soon as I'll click on this close, the closing will be fired, but I cannot see the output because the things will get closed. And the moment actually it will get closed inside, so it will fire the closed event. So this is how it is going to happen. So any issues?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
One question. So the activate event is equivalent to focus, right?
Yeah, it is almost, but right now there is a difference, but right now I cannot say the difference. Anybody want to answer like what is the difference? Because each event having a difference between it, because otherwise why I should use a different event? So you may check the documentation afterwards, or you may write it on the discourse. I have to check it and answer because there are thousands of events. It's very difficult to remember the events. And what happened, the name changed, but actually the effect will come in this E, that particular event object. So you have to find out what you can do with this event object. The capability of this E gets changed, this action event, this thing. And if it is associated with the windows, this window event. So depends on like which particular event you are handling, what is associated with this E, that gets changed. So there will be some difference that you need to check, and if you cannot find, you can post it on the discourse. We can answer that.
Right, sir. I'll check that. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. It's similar only, yeah. But there must be some difference.
So for handling focus also we'll have a separate event, right?
Yeah, there will be event. Yeah,
Okay, all right. Sure, sir. Thank you.
yeah. When I'll go for checking the documentation, no, I'll check for that once. If I get it ready, so I can show that moment. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the next question, yeah. Okay. So next question basically involve use of this J check boxes. So it's basically the checkbox. So since it is from the string, we say it's a J checkbox. Okay. So again, we are extending the JFrame. So our class itself becomes a JFrame class. So we don't have to create a JFrame additionally, right? And it is with the action listener. So it's very clearly I want to deal with the events associated with some components which are added on my container of the frame, JFrame, right? It could be a button, checkbox, or a radio button kind of thing, right? There are many. There could be a drop down list like a combo box, right? Okay, so I'm going to use 3 checkboxes. There are 2 panels in which I'll be adding all these things. I need to arrange them properly. So I'm creating 2 panels. I'm creating 3 checkboxes. Each checkboxes will be added to the action listener. So where the action events are like event handlers are added. So these are added to my current class. So I say this. So the particular action performed is written on the same class. So in a situation, suppose I write this action performed in a different class, that class has to implement this action listener, and I need to create additionally an object of that particular class, and I need to pass that object over here. So what you can have, you can increase the modularity of your program. What you can do, you can make this program to extend the JFrame. So the design part will be in one class, and you can create another class who will like this implement this action listener, right? So that class will have the event handling only, right? So the difficulty over there, see, if I create it on the same class, I keep it easy because these buttons are directly accessible to you. So you can check out which button has fired. No, you can say get source, and you can find out it is B1, B2 or B3. It's very easy to identify which object has fired your event. But if you write your event handler in a different class, so these are private to this particular class, no? So these are not accessible to another class. So how do you check it? So in that case, the only way is to use this action command. So that is where you should use this. So you can associate your command buttons, your particular component which is firing it with a particular string. There you get the event and find out which is the particular message you are having, the string associated with the event. And if it is CM, you know that this button has fired it, accordingly take the action. Getting my point? See what I'm saying. If you write your buttons in the same class and action performed in the same class, you can find out which button has fired it, because you can compare your button with if it is a FT button or if it is a CM button. But suppose action performed is written in another class and the design is done in another class, like button is designed on another class. So whenever you're checking this in your action performed, these things are not accessible, right? These are on your different class. So how do you do it? You have to do it in this way. You can find out what string is associated with the event, right? Then you can do those things. Okay, so let me go for it. So we can add all these buttons to my panel, then add the panel on the south. So these are just designing, I'm not discussing. So you can see I'll add a panel of where all these checkboxes will appear, and there will be a panel at the center. So center will cover up all the uncovered area. So if it is on south, south means it will cover the bottom part. So if I don't have any other things, the center means it will cover up rest of the portion, right? Then I do this. Now I say what should be the action performed if I want my output like this. So it's like there are three check boxes. If I click on this, some color will appear on this panel. If I click on this, some other color will appear. If I click on this, some other color will appear. So that's the way we need to do it. So how to do it? It's a simple way. My event is E and it is on the same class. So I can just say it's a J checkbox, right? I say it's a CH. Then I say checkbox. Then I say E dot get source, right? So I can try to find out which particular checkbox fired it. So if the CH is equals, if it is equals this particular, say it's a B1. So I'll do that this particular panel dot background set to certain color, right? So panel is the first panel. So this is the second panel, which is on the center. So I'll say panel 2 dot set background color with color, say something, some color. Then else if this ch dot equals, if it is B2, I'll do something. So this is the way I do coding right here. So I think it is understandable, right? So I'll show you the code. Okay. Okay, so this is the code, right? So what we have, so as I discussed, like E is the particular event. So if you do a E dot get source, it returns you a checkbox object, and you can check out if it is your B1, if it is your B2, if it is on B3. So whatever I have done over here, so I have done the step like in a separately, like I have done this portion separately. I first extracted like I have kept it in a temporary checkbox object, then I have compared, but here it is done directly. It's basically the same thing, right? So if I do run this, so this is what you'll get. So if I say yellow, basically click on black. So what is clicked last that will appear, right? So it's basically taking the clicked, right? It is not on select. It is basically taking the clicked event. It is not on the select event. So the select event example is there on your uh, graded assignments. The similar thing, but it is not on the click. It's basically finding out which particular checkbox is selected. Depends on that, it will take the action, right? So once you're trying to run the graded assignment, you can find that particular example also. Okay, we'll go next. So in practice assignment, like if you look at the important thing, which kind of question may appears for your this thing, which are basically the event driven programs. So this is one, and the first question what you have done, right? Okay. So only design, like it's for only learning purpose. Where you are having the event handling kind of thing, that kind of code that the question you can expect for your paper, right? If you look at your graded questions also, all are kind of event driven only. So there is some kind of event handling. Okay, so here as you can understand, there is a key listener. So what key listener will do? Anybody what it do? Keys listener. So on the keyboard, you're having the keys. If you're clicking or if you're pressing a key, uh, if you type a particular key, what will happen? That's basically generate the events. Basically, there are 3 events associated with. So it's a key typed, key pressed, and key released. There are 3 events are associated with it. So once I press a key on the keyboard, so this kind of events are generated. So those basically, this is the particular interface in which you are having this abstract methods. So if you implement those, so you have to if you basically do implement for this interface, you need to write a code for it, right? So anyone can clarify, like key press means I'm pressing the key, key release means I'm releasing the key, right? I'm pressing and releasing. But what is key typed? Anyone? What is key typed? So see, release is common for all kinds of key. So whatever the keys are there on the keyboard for each of the keys, the moment I press, then I release my button, right? The particular key from the keyboard, it fires the key release. But when I press it, depends on what kind of key it is. It might fire a key typed or it will fire a key press event. Now the idea is something like, uh, if the particular key is associated with a character, means if I press a key and against that something will appear on your screen, right? If the typed key having a character which has to be written on your screen, then it is a key pressed, it is a key typed. But there are some keys, if I press the key, nothing will appear. It doesn't represent any kind of character. Rather, it basically do some additional actions. Right? A shift key. If you press the shift key, the only shift key doesn't uh, generate any particular character, right? But if you press a button like 1, or A, so those buttons are associated with a particular character, right? If I press a, so you know it basically generate a as a character. If you press a 1, it generates a 1 as a character. So if the keys are associated with a particular key or character, which is associated with a character, for those keys, it generate a key typed. And whenever I release the key, it generate a key released. But if the key is something for which is not associated with any character, which can be a control key or a shift key, right? Then the alt key, right, which are not associated with any particular character, but rather it do some kind of additional functionality. So for them, it is key pressed and key release. So that's why depends on which key you are pressing, either it will go for key typed or it will go for key press. The moment you are releasing your key, it basically shows key released. So you want to see this program, and along with the keyboard keys, which interface you need to use? Key listener, right? Action listener for the components which you are adding on the JFrame. Now for Windows event, like if you, what will happen if you click on this minimize, maximize, then this cross, this closing things, that's the window listener. And if you want to deal with the key, then it is a key listener. If you want to deal with the mouse, like clicking on the left button of the mouse, clicking on the right mouse button of the mouse, there is a interface called as a mouse listener kind of thing, right? So if you want to look at the code now, so this is the thing. So I'm running this. So please follow this, what is happening. So this is what will appear on my screen. Oh, sorry. Trying to move it in the middle. Yeah. Okay. So suppose I'm pressing the key A, right? So now I have pressed. So it's a key typed because my button is associated with a character. Now I release it. So it's a say key released. I press X, key typed, release it. Now I am pressing shift. Now see, since the particular key is not associated with any character, it's having some additional functionality. It's a key pressed. And as soon as I'll release, it's a key released. Right. So these are the things. But don't worry, these are for your practice. Like again, I repeat the same thing. We'll focus on the action listeners. Okay, so this is something related with something called as a layout. So layout is a concept, right, in Swing, which says how you can change the appearance of the particular components you are adding. It's not appearance, I should say the layout of how you'll put your buttons, that check boxes, then uh, radio button, etc. inside your form, how they will be arranged in a form, right? So commonly there are three what we use. There are many basically, but commonly we use three. It could be, so what we have used right now, like we have already used a north, south, east, west, and center, right? So that's a default kind of layout. So that's called a border layout, right? That's called a border layout. Or I can go for a grid layout where I can think the entire panel or entire JFrame like a matrix. It's a 2D matrix. Like I'll have row and column and I can decide in which row and which column I should put my component. And there is a flow layout which treats your entire form or your container panel like a floatable something. So if you drag or increase it, automatically everything will be resized, not resized, it will be rearranged automatically. So rather than explaining, I'll just show you how it will be arranged. So for the time being, here as far as the output, you can see it's very much the same concept, like you're having something on the center, something on the east, something on the west, something on the north, and something on the south. So it is basically the layout, which is a border layout, right? Which is a border layout, but just I want to give you an idea like how the things will appear. Okay. So let us go for what we already know. There are 5 buttons we are having, right? So we need to arrange it in some way inside our JFrame, right? So first go for what we already know, because we have used this border layout unknowingly. So in border layout, we can arrange it like a left, right, middle, not left, right, middle, north, south, east, west, and center. So I create my button objects. Okay, first I have used a layout manager. Using that, you can choose which kind of layout you are looking for. We say we are looking for a layout which is a border layout, right? We create 5 buttons. We have added our buttons. Now you have to add them. So I say the button 1, let it be added on the north, then second one in the south, third one is in the west, fourth one is the east, and maybe fifth one on the south, right? And let me run this. So it gets appearance like this. So this is button 1 on the north, button 2 on the center, button 3 on the west, button 4 on the east, button 5 on the south. So this is how the layout will be designed if it is a border layout. This north, south, this kind of convention is applicable for a border layout. Let us go for a grid layout. So grid layout, as I told, like we can have an arrangement like a matrix. So let me assume it as a 3x3 matrix and there are 5 buttons, right? I want to put into grid. So how it will look like? You can see it's having a look like a this thing, right? So this is how it will appear. So next we can go for a flow layout. So if I run this, see the flow layout, what will happen if I change the size? So automatically it will rearrange the things, the content. So it's basically a floating layout, you can say. Okay, so that's all. We don't want to go into details, just to give an idea. And I'll share these programs with you. Okay. So this is what we have done already. So this is 3x2 grid. So basically the 6, we do not need a 3x3 basically, yeah, because there are 6. So I'm adding the 6 things and how the things will appear. So this is not true. So this will appear in case of flow layout, right? So if you do and done a 3x2, so this is, you can understand 2x3, right? So sorry, 3x2. So there are 3 rows, 1, 2, and 3 rows, and there are 2 columns, 1 and 2. This is also grid layout. This is also grid layout, but it's a 2x3. This is a 2x3. So there are 2 rows and there are 3 columns. And this is also again a flow that flow layout, right? So since it is sized on this, it's fitting with the 6 buttons, but if you decrease the size, so automatically it will take a size like this, right? So this is how basically it will work. So we are having this, but I'll tell you to focus on the question number 1 and 3 as far as your exam is concerned. As far as your exam is concerned, so all your graded are of this type 1 or 3, right? So if you understand 1 and 3, I'll recommend you to practice everything. But 1 and 3 have to be very clear because these kind of questions are expected, right? And the similar kind of questions are also there in the graded. Please practice it properly because um, you can understand the MSQ or MCQ. They will be off in this some kind of this writing some kind of code, right? So you need to understand. You need to understand like what kind of code it will be. Depends on the situation is given. Like here it is given like if you click on the first checkbox, it should be a cyan. If you click on the second one, it should be black. So it depends on given explanation. You maybe have to write the specific code. So understanding code is very important. If you are dealing with an object, so this question basically deals with all the aspects. So this is if you are trying to find out which button has fired it, or here if you are using this action command, get action command and set action command, and you want to find out like which particular string is associated with that particular component, right? So that's all for this discussion. So we'll go for something else. So if anybody having any questions regarding this, I'll share the program. I think once you run this, before you run your graded questions, it will be much easier to understand. So that probably we can share it today or tomorrow itself. Yeah. So if you don't have anything, I want to show you the documentation page once again. So this is the documentation page. So it will be, the link will be given on the portal itself. So if you click on that, it will open on a separate tab. So this is exactly the thing you're going to get. So now what to do about it? Say whenever you need to find or search for a particular function. So as I was giving an example, suppose there is a very common function called as a merge. Merge is a very common function of the map class. So you can go to the search option and you can write a map dot search, right? So it will appear over here. So you have to understand which specific overload you need to use. If you click on this, it shows you the particular syntax, right? So there are different syntaxes. So you can find this different. So this is the thing. Suppose you want to find out a particular function short from the arrays class. So this is basically the arrays dot short, right? So this is the common kind of function which has to use several times. So this is a static function which takes an array of generic type and it's basically invoke a comparator, right? And if you want to see now how the comparator will work, you can just click on comparator to go the explanation of the comparator. Now short is there inside your array also, and there is inside collections also. So if you want to check out the collections version of the short, you can have to use the collections.short. So it's there will be a list type. So it could be array list or linked list followed by a comparator, right? So this is the way you need to search the documentation for the functions. So regarding this, if you want to ask anything like using the documentation or seeing some queries on the discourse. So I think it's okay, right? Okay, so I have done for my part. Like anybody like Vaskar or anybody want to say something? Something regarding the exam or something you can tell.
Nothing of that sort.
Hmm.
If they have any doubt, then maybe we can tell something.
Today nobody have any doubt.
Nah, regarding the exam, any programming something.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, Pritadeep.
Sir, it's not a doubt regarding the subjects. It's just an operational query. Are we going to have these exam mode portal for the rest of the week? Because even today my portal was not accessible in the evening.
Pritadeep, I'm not very sure. You have to ping JK and ask him. Okay, I mean generally they are handling that exam mode. I checked with him last time. They said they have to do that for technical reasons. So can you just ping him and check? I will also check with him and update in the discourse. Can you just post in the discourse so that I can kind of tag him and probably remind him
Yes,
also to
ma'am.
respond.
I will do that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
It's very inconvenient if
I totally
everybody's
understand.
portal goes off.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Sure, I'll ping him. You can post in the discourse. I'll also ping him and ask him to respond.
Is it fine if I don't post it in the Java category and post it in operational queries?
You can post in operational issues. Tag me, then I'll remember to tag.
Sure. Okay.
You can tag JK also. Maybe I'll just respond say asking him to.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
Yeah, there are some technical issues. I mean, he was also not able to really take it fully out of the examination mode due to the number of portal restrictions, right? I mean, we already discussed this, but maybe he'll be able to give you more clarity on what can be done to whether there is any workaround.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
Sure, yeah.
So anything else? So no, I think nothing. So yeah.
Just one thing. So, okay, that requires someone to respond. So yeah. So if anyone has doubt in the basics of stream or something, if you have anything regarding that which may be helpful for your proctored exam, then you may ask that. No one has no doubt. Everyone knows that their own part, so it's okay. Yeah, sir. So should we end the session? What should we do?
Yeah, I think so. Dhanya, like anything you have?
No.
Okay, so
Nobody has any doubts.
Yeah,
We can wind
yeah.
up. That's it.
Okay.
So if you have any questions in any earlier programming assignments or something, post in discourse. Even if we don't respond, I'm sure there are so many of your own friends posting. So as far as possible, we'll try to respond. But if not, there are so many others. So please go through all the programming assignment questions so that you're familiar with whatever has been happening so far. And if you're coming across some new concepts and you want some clarification or something, please post in the discourse. And I think Saturday is our exam, right? Saturday is the proctor test, right? That's Java. 19th, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we are not going to have another live session. Yeah, who was saying something?
No, I was about to say that I have it on Sundays, I think.
No, 19th and 27th, only 2 dates we have, no?
Okay, yeah. So I have it on 27th. When you said Saturday, I got confused. Sorry.
I guess it's the next Sunday. Then. Yeah. Okay, coming Saturday and the next is Sunday, I think. Yeah. Okay, then yeah. Thanks everyone. Okay, all the best for the exam.
Thank you.
Thanks for the session. Thank you.
All the best. Yeah.